How to maintain self-discipline without burning out. Guide by the Quiet Guide. Energy, inner dialogue, and protecting your time. The promise that quietly disappears. You promise yourself tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow you will wake up earlier. You will finally start the habit you have been thinking about for weeks. Maybe it is a morning walk. Maybe it is reading a few pages before work. Maybe it is beginning a project you keep postponing. You make the promise sincerely. In that moment, you believe it. But then morning arrives. The alarm rings. You reach for your phone. One email appears. One message needs answering. You sit up just to check something quickly. And before you even realize what happened, the promise quietly disappears. The strange part is this. You keep promises to everyone else. You show up for your clients. You show up for family. You show up for your responsibilities. You meet deadlines. You handle problems. You carry more than most people ever notice. But when the promise is made to yourself, something shifts. The discipline you know you are capable of quietly fades. Not because you are lazy. You have already proven you can work hard. You have endured seasons that required resilience most people never see. So the real question is not whether you have discipline. The real question is this. Why does discipline disappear the moment no one is watching? Today we are going to rebuild self-discipline in a way that actually fits your life now. Not the younger version of you. Not the version who could sacrifice sleep and run on adrenaline. The current version of you, experienced, busy, aware that constant hustle eventually leads to burnout. The goal here is different. We are building discipline that is quiet, sustainable, and designed for real life. We will use a simple structure: problem, then protocol. First, we identify the hidden obstacle. Then we design a calm system that removes the struggle. And near the end of this session, we will begin designing your personal discipline blueprint. Something simple you can follow for the next 30 days. But before any system works, we have to understand the first invisible obstacle, and it is something most people never notice. Problem 1. The invisible energy leak. Most conversations about discipline treat it like a personality trait. Some people are disciplined, others are not. But in reality, discipline is rarely a personality trait. More often, it is an energy management problem. Think about your typical day. You make hundreds of small decisions: what to answer, what to prioritize, how to respond to people, how to solve small problems, how to handle interruptions. Each one of those decisions consumes mental energy. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. Your brain has limited capacity for deliberate thinking. By evening, most of that capacity has already been used, which means the hour that finally belongs to you is the hour when your brain is least capable of discipline. This explains something many people misunderstand. Discipline does not fail because you lack strength. It fails because your brain has already spent its energy on everything else. Think about how restaurants operate during busy service hours. The chef is not making decisions from scratch while customers are waiting. Ingredients are prepared earlier, vegetables are chopped, sauces are ready, tools are organized, because the chef understands something simple: preparation removes friction. When the rush begins, decisions are minimal. The system runs smoothly. Discipline works exactly the same way. The more decisions you remove in advance, the easier consistency becomes. Protocol 1. Environmental discipline. Instead of asking, "Why am I not disciplined?" ask a different question. How can I remove one decision before tomorrow begins? Tonight, make 3 small choices for tomorrow. Choose tomorrow's clothes. Choose your first drink. Choose the first 10 minutes of your morning. A walk, a stretch, a quiet planning ritual. Once the decision is made tonight, the morning version of you no longer negotiates. You simply follow a decision made by a calmer mind. This small shift changes the experience of discipline completely. It stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like a path that has already been cleared. Pause for a moment and consider this. What is one decision you could make tonight that protects your energy tomorrow morning? Now we move to the second hidden obstacle, and this one quietly destroys discipline faster than missed days ever could. Problem 2. The harsh inner judge. You miss one day of a habit. Maybe you plan to exercise. Maybe you plan to read. Maybe you plan to work on something important. And immediately the internal voice begins speaking. See, you always do this. You never stick to anything. Why even try again? The habit did not collapse because of the missed day. The habit collapsed because of the story that followed the missed day. Thomas Edison tested thousands of materials before discovering the filament that made the light bulb practical. Someone once asked him how it felt to fail so many times. His response was simple. He had not failed. He had simply found thousands of ways that did not work. Most people interpret missed habits as failure, but the people who build long-term discipline interpret them as information. They adjust, they return, they continue, which leads to the second protocol. Protocol 2. Gentle but firm agreements. Instead of perfection, build agreements. Change the language you use with yourself. Instead of saying, "I should be more disciplined," say, "I am learning to honor small agreements with myself." Then adopt a simple rule, the 70% rule. If you planned 20 minutes of movement and completed 14, it counts. The agreement was kept. Reflection. Your brain does not need proof that you are perfect. It needs proof that you return. Consistency grows from returning, not from flawless streaks. Once a week, create a forgiveness reset. Spend 5 minutes reviewing the week. Write down where you broke your agreements. Write one sentence of understanding beside each one. Then choose one adjustment for the coming week, not punishment, learning. Now we move to the next obstacle, and this one controls many people's lives without them realizing it. Problem 3. Living on everyone else's deadlines. You respond quickly to emails. You show up early to meetings. You adjust your schedule when someone asks for help. You are reliable, responsible, dependable. But your own priorities slowly move to the bottom of the list. Reading becomes tomorrow. Exercise becomes next week. Personal goals become someday. The brain notices this pattern, and it learns something quietly damaging. Your commitments to yourself are optional. There is a famous moment when Warren Buffett showed someone his calendar. The visitor expected to see a schedule full of meetings and obligations. Instead, most of the calendar was empty. Buffett explained something simple. The most successful people protect their time aggressively, because without protected time, meaningful work never happens. Your discipline requires the same protection, which leads to the third protocol. Protocol 3. Quiet non-negotiables. Choose 1 to 3 windows of time each week, 15 to 30 minutes. These windows belong to your discipline practice. Schedule them like appointments, like flights, like medical visits. When someone asks for that time, respond calmly. "I'm not available then, but I can do this instead." No explanation, no apology. Your brain must see evidence that your priorities matter, not theoretically, but practically. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is one 15-minute window in your week that could become non-negotiable? Before we continue, here is something important. Even if you solve these 3 problems, discipline can still collapse for one surprising reason: overthinking. And in the next session, we will explore the analysis trap that stops intelligent people from starting. We will also look at the motivation myth and the planning mistake that causes most discipline systems to fail. In the next part of this conversation, we will explore why intelligent people often overanalyze instead of starting, why motivation is unreliable, and how to design discipline systems that work even on low-energy days. Starting, systems, and sustainable consistency. When knowing isn't enough, you know exactly what you should do. You have read the books. You have watched the productivity videos. You have even written the habit down in a planner. Everything is clear. The steps are simple. And yet, starting still feels strangely difficult. You tell yourself you will begin tomorrow. Tomorrow morning you will exercise. Tomorrow evening you will read. Tomorrow you will finally start the habit you keep postponing. But when tomorrow arrives, something unexpected happens. You do not start. Instead, you research one more method. You watch another video. You compare another system. And suddenly the day has passed again. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Many intelligent people struggle with discipline not because they lack knowledge, but because their minds are too active before action begins. This is the trap we explore first. Problem 4. Overanalyzing instead of starting. Some people avoid effort, but others avoid starting because they want to do things properly. They research methods, compare routines, study productivity systems. The intention is good, but the result is delay. This is what psychologists call analysis paralysis. The brain believes more information will lead to a better decision, but in reality, too much analysis often prevents action entirely. Imagine two students learning the piano. The first student spends weeks researching techniques. They read about finger placement. They compare teaching methods. They watch tutorials. But they hesitate to practice until they feel fully prepared. The second student does something simpler. They sit down and play badly, 5 minutes a day. Wrong notes, slow progress. But they keep playing. 6 months later, the difference is obvious. The second student has improved dramatically, not because they were smarter, but because they started earlier. This is the core principle behind discipline. Action creates clarity. Thinking alone rarely does. Protocol 4, the unimpressive start. For any habit you want to build, define the smallest version you are allowed to perform. Reading, 2 pages. Movement, 5 minutes. Writing, 3 sentences. Meditation, 2 minutes. Then apply one important rule. Do not increase the habit for the first 7 days. This rule prevents the brain from associating discipline with pressure. Instead, discipline becomes calm and predictable. Reflection. Most people underestimate how powerful small beginnings are. They imagine success requires dramatic effort. But the opposite is usually true. Consistency grows from actions so small they are almost impossible to resist. Now we arrive at another misunderstanding about discipline, and it appears everywhere in modern culture. Problem 5. Confusing motivation with discipline. Many people believe discipline begins with motivation. They wait to feel inspired. They wait for the beginning of a new week. They wait for a surge of energy. But motivation is emotional, and emotions are unpredictable. Imagine 2 people who want to begin running. The first waits until they feel motivated. Some days they run. Some days they do not. Their progress is inconsistent. The second person creates a simple system. Every morning after brushing their teeth, they put on running shoes and walk outside. Sometimes they run. Sometimes they walk. But the routine never changes. 6 months later, the difference is dramatic. One person relied on emotion. The other relied on structure. Discipline grows when behavior becomes automatic, which leads to the next protocol. Protocol 5. The 3-part discipline system. Every habit contains 3 components: trigger, action, closing ritual. The trigger is something that already happens. After brushing your teeth, after your first cup of coffee, after closing your laptop. The action is the unimpressive version of the habit. 2 pages, 5 minutes, 3 sentences. The closing ritual signals completion. Close the notebook, mark a check on a calendar, or simply say one word silently. Kept. Over time, your brain learns something powerful. Discipline is not about forcing yourself. It is about following a familiar script. Now we reach another trap that quietly destroys discipline systems, and it happens to almost everyone. Problem 6. All or nothing planning. At some point, many people create the perfect plan. Wake up at 5, exercise for an hour, journal, eat perfectly, complete focused work blocks. The plan looks impressive, but it rarely survives the third day. Why? Because life is unpredictable. Unexpected responsibilities appear, energy fluctuates, and the perfect routine collapses. Think about how many times people begin a new routine on Monday. Monday morning, everything feels organized. By Wednesday, the schedule is strained. By Thursday, the routine is abandoned. Not because the person failed, but because the plan was too rigid for real life. This leads to the final protocol. Protocol 6. Two-level planning. For every habit, create two versions, high energy and low energy. Movement example. High day, 30-minute walk. Low day, 8 minutes of stretching. Focused work example. High day, 60 minutes deep focus. Low day, 15 minutes completing one small task. On difficult days, discipline does not break. It simply shifts to the low-energy version. Consistency remains intact. Extended integration, the discipline blueprint. Now we combine everything into a simple blueprint. Choose one arena for the next 30 days: body, mind, work, or home. Define the unimpressive start. Prepare the environment. Create high day and low day versions. Schedule a weekly forgiveness reset. Then speak this commitment slowly. For the next 30 days, I will honor one small agreement with myself. I will not chase perfection. I will not wait for motivation. I will return again and again. Pause for a moment. Let the words settle. Closing reflection. Discipline was never meant to exhaust you. It was meant to support you. Quiet discipline is sustainable discipline. Small agreements kept consistently, systems that respect your energy, and compassion when life becomes difficult. This is Quiet Grind Daily, where self-improvers reset. Calm mind, consistent action. I will see you in the next quiet moment.